Hello and welcome to the evening session I've been telling you about today. This is the special Platypod session. Travel and edit like a pro faster is the overall conference, but this session is all about how to get more out of your travel photography. We're going to show you two sides of this. We're going to talk about traveling light and the gear to do that. And we're going to talk about how to get your camera in different positions for very interesting, very professional shots. And all day long, you've been watching classes from individual instructors, and each session is a session from that instructor. In this session, not only do you get Larry Becker and Larry Tiefenbrunn, the inventor of the Platypod, but a whole lot of Platypod pros have contributed images to the training you're about to get. And I would like to bring on camera right now the man himself, Larry T. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody. Hello, Larry, and hello to everybody out there at the On1 Travel Conference for KelbyOne. And we are here live with you, so if anything goes wrong, you're going to know it right away. But anyhow, we hope to have a little fun over here. We're going to break up this session into basically two sections. First section we're going to talk about is going to be hardware driven. And I'll show you how our gear works, how you set it up, how you pack really light to go on photo walks and in your travel. And Larry will bring in a few tips. Larry Becker will bring in a few tips over there too. Then I want to also show you a little bit of how to make your travel to your destination a little bit better, so you can have some entertainment without having to hold a screen or having to bend your neck down to watch your movies or whatever you want. You don't necessarily like what you see on the back of the next person's chair, but we'll go into that in a little bit. And then I'd like to go and look at how Platypod can make your pictures better so you can get different images, low angles, all kinds of things that will make your pictures stand out from everybody else's. So without any further ado, Larry just is going to give you a few notes on how we're going to have audience interaction, and then we'll proceed.
Exactly. Now I want to point out, you know, normally all day long I've been saying put questions into the Q&A, and after the session is over, the instructors will go back and look at those and answer them. This one is different. Feel free to go ahead and put your questions into the chat or the Q&A, but primarily in the chat for this session, so that while you're talking with other people that are watching simultaneously around the world, you can put in your questions in the chat. And we've got the team here at KelbyOne watching what's showing up in the chat, and they're going to give those questions to Larry and Larry so that we can answer those as the session kind of wraps up. So in just a little while, when Larry T and I are both done with our presentation portion, we're going to jump in and answer whatever questions you have. And this really matters because Larry T is going to show you different pieces of gear, some brand new stuff that's only been on the market for a short period of time, and he's going to assemble that. And you might have questions, well, how do I do this? Or I want to try this kind of tripod with that kind of ball head, and you have those questions. Well, put them in the chat and we will answer those as this session wraps up at around 7:30, so well, 7:20-ish, 7:30, somewhere in that zone.
But we always run over a few minutes.
Yes, we do. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Larry T to get us started.
Again, please stick with us because got a lot of interesting surprises, some offers, and you'll want to hear everything here. Okay, let's start off with the camera. Now, I know a lot of people are using mirrorless cameras. I haven't gotten to break away from my Nikon D850 yet. I still love it, so that's what I'm shooting with. It is a heavy camera, and I used to use camera straps. I've gotten away from the camera straps because I found something that for me is a little better. You might find something you like better. That's okay, but I'm going to just show you how I go on a long, all-day walkabout without getting too much neck strain. So what I do, I'm going to step up here a little bit on a step stool so you can see I've got this little gizmo here on my hip. It's called a spider holster. Now, spider holster comes with a belt built into it, or this one just hooks on to my own belt. And it has a little metal mechanism here, which hooks into a little pin that I can use that comes with one of their plates, or I just put this little pin on my L bracket. And for those of you who may not know what an L bracket is, it is an ARCA compatible, universal compatible, quick release plate that allows you to shoot horizontal and quickly flip to vertical. So I like using those for the walkabouts because I need to be able to change orientations quickly. So with this peg just put into place, and you can purchase the peg separately from Spider Holster people. We don't get any commission for this. It's called a Black Widow pin, and that'll allow you to put it into any quarter 20 attachment. We'll talk a little bit about screw sizes in a few moments. But I just hook this into here, turn it, that's it. My camera is now always available. Now I can lock it in place. There's a switch to lock it. I don't bother keeping it locked because it really holds in well. To get the camera off, lift, out, I'm ready to shoot again without having any of that neck strain. The lens I use the most is, this is what I call the J. Maisel Special. There are similar lenses from other brands. This is a 28 to 300 millimeter lens, and the negative, the downside is it's a variable aperture, so it goes 3.5 to 5.6 f aperture. So what I do like about it though is I get that tremendous range in focal length, and it is very, very sharp all the way through. So that's my main go-to lens. But when I travel around, there's other things I might want to do. I might want to go wider. I might want to go a little bit sharper telephoto. And so I carry a few other pieces of equipment with me. Some of these are mandatory for me. Some of them are optional based on where I'm going. And the bag I like to use, thank you, Scott Kelby, for originally showing this to me among the audience. This is from Think Tank. And again, we don't have any special relationship with them. I just like what they make here. And it's called the Turnstile 10 V. This one's V2.0. I don't know if there's a 3.0 yet. It's nicely padded here. It's got a very well padded strap, and it's a sling bag. And I'll show you the advantage of having a sling bag versus a backpack. First of all, the backpack, once you fill it up, it's pretty heavy. This gets everything I want into it, but makes the equipment very available. I'll step up again so you can see this. Now, the trick is you want to put it over your left shoulder. So I'm going to put this over my head like this, and my hand through, and now it's sitting comfortably. You can adjust this strap to whatever you need. And then when you want to shoot, or you want to change, equipment, you just bring it around in front, and then everything is available right in front of you. You don't have to put that down, and my camera will be hanging on the side. Now, just for convenience here, I'm going to set this on the table, and we're going to play the clown car show, where you'll see how many things can pop out of this bag here. So let's start with the main chamber, and that holds my lenses, all right? Optional lens is a macro lens. If I think I may want to take some close-up detail shots of flowers, of food, artifacts, it's really nice to have this because I can come so close to my subject with this, and it will give me an image that is a 1-to-1 ratio. In other words, the image cast on the sensor will be the same size as the object that I'm photographing. So if you're photographing something that's about 1.5 inches long by 1 inch high, it'll capture the entire thing, fill the frame with this, and allow you to get close enough. So close-up lens is one thing to consider, not mandatory. I think it is important to have a wide-angle lens down to about 14 millimeters. This is a 14 to 24 millimeter variable zoom, and it does have a fixed aperture of 2.8 all the way through. What I love about this zoom, I hate the fact that it's very, very bulky, but it is so sharp. It is one of the it's probably the sharpest wide-angle lens I've ever seen. This is from Nikon, but other brands have similar types of lenses. I think this is super important, especially if you're going to be shooting inside, churches or synagogues or auditoriums or music halls or libraries. This is the lens that you really want because it just takes in everything so beautifully. So that I consider a very important lens on a travel walkabout. Down at the bottom here, here's another beast. Now this one, if you have this lens, this is optional. What I love about a 70 to 200 millimeter lens is the sharpness on this is just unbelievable. It's great for portraits. It's great for all kinds of images. When you're doing landscapes and want to get details in the landscape, it's a great lens to have. Now, let's get into something Platypod will do for this lens. This lens originally came with a foot that came down and forward, and you could screw it into your tripod. That lifts the lens up a little higher, and I wanted to bring the center of gravity lower. So what I did was I put this little Platypod disc adapter. Let me show this a little more close up. That's the disc adapter. The bottom is ARCA compatible, so it has the same kind of groove system that my L bracket had that we talked about before. So this will fit with so many different ball heads, about 85% of the ball heads. Manfrotto has their own proprietary clamp, and this will not fit on that. But what it does also have, and I'm just going to show you because this is a good way to demonstrate where we were talking about different bolt sizes. This has a 1/4 inch -20 bolt. That means 1/4 of an inch in diameter, and 20 threads per inch is the thread rating on that. And that will fit into any camera tripod socket. It's a universal screw, so that's important. And it has on the other side a 3/8 inch socket, which will fit on top of any tripod legs or right onto a platypod to reduce the size of that bolt down to the 1/4 inch size. And you'll see that can come in very handy in many situations. So I'll take a break here just to show you how I would use this. So take, for example, the Platyball Ergo, a push button ball head. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to our website, and there's some nice videos that explains why this is different. But I'm going to show you just briefly how you would mount this on your camera. So now anytime you're using a long telephoto lens, it's important that that lens has a collar ring on it. And this one has a built-in collar ring. And I'll explain in a second a little more what a collar ring allows you to do. So it's a ring built into the lens right over here, and it allows that lens, by loosening a knob, to swivel around in there. You'll see in a second why that's so important. But it's also important for balance, because if you put a long telephoto lens on your camera, and then you try to mount your camera, let's just line this up, mount your camera on a tripod using the camera bracket, now you've got all this weight in front wanting to pull your camera down, and you can actually hurt your the binding in here. The Larry, what's the word I'm looking for?
Lens mount.
The quick release ring.
The lens
from the
mount
camera.
ring, yeah.
What's that?
The lens mount ring.
The lens mount. So if I do this, not great. What I want to do is mount it onto here. So I just take my disc, I spin it into the 1/4 inch 20 socket, put it right on here. Now it's balanced by the lens. And now between, remember I told you about the tripod collar. Now I can turn the camera vertical or horizontal without even having to use my L bracket, which makes this really, really fast and convenient. But now I get super panning over here. And with the Platyball Ergo, because the panning's at the top, even if my tripod legs would be off balance, as long as the top is level, I'm going to get a level panning all the way through. And we won't go into more detail on that now. We've talked about it at some other conferences, and there's information online about that. So that's how you would use that lens. All right, I've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4 lenses. The other thing I'll carry in my sling bag is a different Platypod. This one is smaller and lighter, and this is called the Platypod Traveler. I'll show this to you close up. Platypod Traveler. Guys, this runs about $45. And I had one from a company that makes very good ball heads, and I once paid about $350 for something similar. If you don't have a compact ball head, this is a great one to get. We've tested this down to up to 15 pounds hold sideways, and it was able to hold a heavy camera. We put weights on it also with no drift at all. It has a nice panning base. So if you don't have a little travel tripod head, this is a great one to get. Platypod Traveler, you can find that on our website. And the Traveler actually it ships with one of those discs, which is added value included in that price. What else does this bag do? Let's see. It's got a few more pockets. It's got another pocket in the back here. Oops, let's close in. It's got another pocket in the back here, which I'll open up. And what's in here? Okay, I've got my Platypod Extreme. This is our larger Platypod. And this has flip-down legs so that when you're on rough surfaces like rock or concrete, it'll maintain grip. It'll also allow you to flip the legs in a upward angle position. So if you're on an angled shelf, you can still maintain balance over there and grip. And we're going to show you how well this grips. It comes with some rubber tips over here for your on delicate surfaces. The tips retract to reveal a rather sharp spike that gets you really good grip on those rough surfaces. And we'll show you later how this was even used on ice and still was able to maintain grip there. It's got some belt loops here so that you can strap it onto things. We'll show you more on that in a second. So very convenient tripod base, and it will handle extremely heavy equipment. We're rating that up to 22 pounds equipment. This is our smaller Platypod. This is new this year, and it's called the Platypod Delta because it's shaped like a triangle, like the Greek letter delta. And it also has flip-down legs like this. So you can do the same thing. You can put it on some rough surfaces. Now, this is extremely stable even on soft surfaces. If you're on sand or soft grass and you have heavier equipment, I would probably go for the Extreme. But if you're traveling light or it's a surface, you can keep your hand on it. If it's a little bit more tenuous, this will work fine. If you're going to be using the big front heavy lenses like the 14 to 24 lenses, I would probably use the bigger Platypod. It will balance the 70 to 200 because that's center weighted, but still on soft surfaces, I'd go for the bigger one. This too has some belt slots up here. It also has a carabiner hold over here so you can carry this easily on your belt. And we don't talk about this much, but it also has a bottle opener in here if you want to pop a bottle of beer in a long day's shooting.
And you might mention, Dr.
Two other things I have. Yep.
Dr. T, who actually inspired you to go down the path to design the Delta?
Oh, it was Scott Kelby. Once I was appearing on the grid, and Scott says to me, we had an older model called the Platypod Ultra, which many of you may know. That did not have flip down legs, and Scott said, my people are telling me on every photo walk I go on, I want something like the Ultra with flip down legs. So Scott was the inspiration for this one, and I think he was very pleased with the results there. So two other things I carry in there are two of our cinch straps, and I'll show you very briefly how these are used. Let me go to a wider view. So The cinch straps have two ways to close them. They open up to about 20 inches straight out. And when you're wrapping them around something, always the black Velcro on the outside. You loop through these two loops, come back, and there's an instructional video from Larry Becker on how to do this in case you're missing or confused by what I'm saying. And you just Velcro it around a railing or a pole, a thin pole, and that'll wrap around nicely. If you're gonna do something a little heavier, then what I would do is use the double D rings. These are amazing. Same thing, you just loop it through the two rings straight, and then it's over under. You go over the first ring, under the second. Let me come in close so you can see how we're doing this, okay? So, loop it through the two loops, over the first ring. You can see that?
Yeah.
And under the second ring, and then just pull through. Now, when you pull that tight, the harder you try to pull it, the tighter it gets. Now, here's another trick that we love to do, and that is, why do I carry two straps? Well, we do make a large strap with our multi-accessory kit. It's 36 inches, but if you don't have that, or if you're shooting with the Delta, it's a little bit better to have the thinner strap. Here's a 36-inch strap, but I can have a 40-inch strap by just daisy chaining two of these. Same idea. Black on the outside, same thing for the second, black on the outside. Now, I've got two straps lined up, and having both black ends on the outside, I loop through the two loops here, okay, just the same as I did before, and then it's over under again, over the first ring, under the second ring that you encounter, and then just pull that. Now I've got 40-inch strap. And if I go through the second one, and same over under, I'm just going to do this with the Velcro for right now. You've got a really big strap. You can get this around, most mid-size tree trunks or telephone poles, and be able to hang your Platypod like the Delta here. And you can actually use the feet over here to give you a little bit extra resistance against what you're hanging it on to make it really nice and tight. Now, why would you want to hang your camera on a tree, a pole, or a railing? Well, we're going to show you a little bit later in our slideshow presentation, so please stick around for that. All right, what else do we have in here? Well, these are some optional items. I like to carry a stack of some filters. I like polarizer filters. Not everybody does, but that's okay. I also have a neutral density filter. I have 6X. Some people like a 10X filter, and I use these metal caps to protect the front and the back of the filters. There are filter wallets. There's other ways to carry it. I find this to be extremely compact, and eventually I'll be able to get the screw threading onto this thing. There we go. Okay. Next. Very important. The Platypod handle. If you want to go and shoot, let's change views here. If you want to go ahead and shoot flowers or low objects, but not so low to the ground, this gives you a little bit of lift. Anywhere from 6 inches, this will go up to 10.5 inches, or if you break this down, pulling the bottom off, unscrew that, unscrew the cap at the top, and now you can have a 3-inch riser. And this is something we've shown in past conferences. The equine photographers at the Kentucky Derby love using this because it gets them pretty low, but not too low to the ground. Now you take this, put it on here, put your ball head on top of that, camera goes next, and you've got a very nice, compact tripod. And Larry, explain for a second what the tripod police are.
Yeah, you're going to run into this a lot. It's a term I've been hearing for years and years. You go into a museum or really any place like a cathedral or something like that, and you'll find that as soon as you start to set down and deploy your tripod, the security people come over and say, no, 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 you can't do that. It's dangerous for people walking around. You're not going to be able to do that. And I can't count how many times I've seen Scott in a class mention that he's been in these beautiful buildings and doing gorgeous architectural photography that he's traveling to capture. And they prohibit these tripods in a lot of these places. And Scott's able to capture the images because he uses a platypod, and sometimes it's on the ground, and sometimes it's on handrails or a park bench or something like that. And sometimes he'll have it just sitting there, sometimes he'll strap it onto a handrail, and we are all able to take pictures without the tripod police coming by and saying, no, no, can't use the tripod here. So it used to be, before platypods were a thing, it used to be either a tripod, or if you can't use a tripod, it's got to be handheld. And now you've got that stability, that solid surface, that reliable, trustworthy place to put your camera without having to worry about it being on a tripod. It's on the tripod alternative, a platypod. And I love that handle because it is, Dr. T talked about the 3/8 inch bolt that's on the top of just about every tripod out there, and it's on all the platypods. Well, it's a riser. It just takes that 3/8 inch mounting bolt and it moves it up 3 inches or 6.5 inches or 10.5 inches. So however high you need it to be, it really works out well. And I actually sometimes double stack my handles. I have 2 of them, so I can get pretty high on something like that. I wouldn't do it on a Delta because of the center of gravity. I'd probably be using a Platypod Extreme. But it's a great, great way to work. And all this gear packs so small, it works really well.
Thank you for the explanation, Larry. And I can't overemphasize how important this is, because when you go out to shoot, if you've got a tripod with you, so many places will shut you out and you're going to miss so many of the shots that you wanted to get. It doesn't happen here, and people say, well, where am I going to put this? You can put it on the floor, you can put it on a chair, you can hang it off the back of the chair with the Extreme, just using these 2 spikes, which lets it hang kind of like that, very conveniently. You can put it on a rock, you can strap it on a tree. I'm going to start sounding like Dr. Seuss if I keep going on and on. You will find that you can get 97% of the images you could get with a tripod, but you'll really get many more because of the tripod police effect. And I think this is our biggest selling point, is really the importance of having this in the bag. Even if you have a tripod with you, I would carry this as a backup, and you're going to need it. Don't leave it at home. It only works if you have it with you. I've got only 3 more things in my bag, Larry, and I heard you had some ideas, so I just want to show those. And one is a rubber pad. I find these to be very, very helpful. You can use any silicone pad, but sometimes you just need to slap down your platypod onto our car hood. You don't want to deploy the feet. You just put it on there. It's protective. It also is very good against certain poles and railings so that you won't mar the railing with the back of the platypod. And it comes together with the 36-inch strap and a few other things in our multi-accessory kit. So if you're going to purchase a Platypod Extreme, we have a combo of Platypod Extreme together with the accessory kit, and at a very, very good price. And you'll get those items. Last 2 things. Expo disc. I'm not going to go into any detail, but this is wonderful for obtaining white balance. You just put it over your camera lens. You shoot into the light that you're facing, like into the sun or the clouds or an artificial light, and it allows you to get white balance. Expo disc, there's some other brands that do similar things, but I find that to be very, very helpful for getting good color balance right out of the box. And last but not least, at least 1, if not a few, spare batteries. It depends on the battery life for your camera. And Larry, let's hear what else you like to pack in your bag.
Happy to do that now, Dr. T. In my bag, and I don't have quite the bag that you do, but I'll tell you a couple of things that I did recently. I went to Calgary. And on my trip to Calgary, I knew I wasn't going to be taking a lot of pictures, but I brought my Canon EOS RP camera with a 24-105 lens. So, because I just didn't have a lot of free time for photography, but I had to bring that. And then I brought this thing. Now this is just a little padded bag. It's not even a camera bag, but a little padded bag. But I put all kinds of Platypod gear in here. And so it doesn't, it's not a camera bag kind of thing. So I've got some of the new Platypod gear Dr. T is going to talk about in a second. I've got my Extreme in here. I've got a couple other things. I've got my Delta with the Traveler ball head on it, and a couple other things, and I don't want to give away Dr. T's upcoming demo of a couple pieces of gear, but this is just some of the stuff. I just tossed it in my carry-on bag, and security, international travel security goes, "What's that?" And I showed them it was a travel tripod, and they went, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problems." A couple other things that I carry with myself all the time when I have a mirrorless or a DSLR. I carry the little bulb to blow air off the sensor and the lens. I carry that 36-inch strap or a couple of the smaller ones. I carry a lens pen. I love this thing for cleaning my lens on my camera or cleaning my lenses on my smartphone, my iPhone. Carry this. Now I'm sure that you've seen these little hard side metal kind of, they call it a wallet case, and you can get these in Walmart and Target and stuff like that. I got one of these, and inside here I have another camera battery and a couple of memory cards. So all of that in this little snap lock thing, and it's super small, fits really well into my bag. One last thing, this gets me all the time. I'm looking around in a camera bag and I can't find something, I can't quite see it. This. I bought this on Amazon, and it's a little tiny rechargeable flashlight. So this thing I use and look in my bag, and it's rechargeable with USB-C. So I love having something like this with every camera bag that I have. I clip it onto the camera bag so that I can always look around in my bag and see in those dark spaces down in the bottom that when I dropped something. So those are my additional things, Dr. T.
Thank you, Larry, for showing everybody that. And look, everybody's going to have their own things that they find that they need, and just assemble. And it might be a good idea to open a note on your iPhone and make a little list of the things. You could make it on a reminder list also, the things that you like to pack, so that when you're packing at the last minute, you're not scurrying around and then you don't forget something at home. It's good to have that list always with you. And just one more little tip there. All right. We're going to go into our slideshow, and I will break out in a second also to show you some new pieces of equipment that we have from Platypod. Very affordable, but things that'll make your trip a lot more pleasant. So again, for those who joined us late, I want to welcome you all to the KelbyOne ON1 Travel Photography Conference. And again, I want to thank both the Kelby organization and the people at On1 for allowing Larry and me to come on the show and show you what we've got and give you some interesting tips. Okay. Our talk, again, was called Travel Light and Shoot Different with Platypod. Well, we showed you how to travel light. And one more thing I want to show you about travel is this. This is called the Platypod Mag Grip. Now, some of you may be familiar with the Platypod Grip. This we came out with last year, and it's a very nice phone grip that you can take and you can just place your phone in here and then mount this onto any Platypod or any tripod, certainly. Or we have now a round base that I'll show you in a second called the Platypod Basic that you can put it on also, just for tabletop use. This also has some extra slots here, cold shoe adapters, so you could put microphones and lights in here. Very convenient. But there were some people who said to us, you know what? I really like the magnetic feature of my iPhone, what they call the, what is it, Larry?
MagSafe.
MagSafe, right, thank you. The MagSafe feature of the iPhone, both for holding on to the phone and for charging. So we came up with a little attachment. Now, if you take off if you already have, let's say, a Platypod grip, and there are times you want to use the magnetic feature, you could just spin off the spring-loaded grip section at the top and place on the mag over here. The mag is under $17. It's not expensive, and it's something you can find on our website very easily. And you put that right on there, and then you just attach that onto any Platypod, the Delta.
Yeah, because it has a 3/8 inch socket on the bottom.
That's correct.
And that bottom section is also the shape of an ARCA plate. So it'll also fit inside of ball heads.
So just to demonstrate what Larry's saying, he's talking about this shape over here. And yes, that slips right into Platypod Traveler, the Ergo, any ARCA compatible ball head, which is about 85% of the ball heads in the world. And so that makes that pretty universal. And now you have tremendous control. You can do panning with this. It makes it very, very convenient. So this has the 3/8 inch socket. It also has 1/4 inch sockets in here, compatible with a lot of equipment. And to mount your camera onto this, wow, look, that's it. And it's really, really sturdy. I hung up to 3 pounds, but we rated this to 2 pounds here. Stronger than most other magnetic grips.
But Dr. T, I have a question. What if they don't have an iPhone, if they have an Android or some phone that doesn't have the MagSafe built into it or built into the case? Is there some way that could...
What a planted question. So we have these little rings, okay? Two of them come with each one. It has adhesive. It's a backed adhesive on one side and ferrous metal on the other side. And you can put this onto an Android phone. I just tried it this week. I was able to put this onto an Android, somebody's Android phone, and it holds very nicely. But I'll show you how I like to really use this. So many of you like to charge your phones instead of using the electric socket, whether it's the USB-C or the older iPhone cords. You like to charge it using a pad. And the pad adheres to the back of your phone. But the back of the pad is not very magnetic attractive. So what I did on this one was I mounted one of these adhesive rings right on the back of that, and I can now just snap that on, and it snaps pretty nicely. Now the magnets built into the chargers are usually not as strong as the one in here, but they're quite sufficient for you to put your phone on here and charge. And I told you there was a third base, which I have right on here, the Platypod Basic. Guys, this one's under $10. So I think anybody who can afford this can probably afford that. And this is great for gifting to a non-photographer friend if you want to, for just simple tabletop use. Now, what do I do with all this? Okay, so on the airplane, if you don't want to have to be sitting there clutching your phone the entire time, you put on the Platypod grip with the spring-loaded clamps, or you can put the mag grip with the magnetic holder on it, and you can see that I have a rubber pad on there so it doesn't slip around. But frankly, I think if you just put a napkin down, I've found, because otherwise the tabletops on the airplanes are fairly slippery, and so I find it's good to have something. But I've done that just with a napkin that I got with my drink, and you're able to get that to grip pretty nicely. And then there's another product that we have that's really, really great for many uses, but especially for travel, and it's called the Platypod Tab. This is for tablets. So let's break out again, and I'm going to show you this. So here is the Platypod Tab, and it is simply a clamp, okay? A clamp that goes around your iPad, and I have an iPad mini here, but this will go up to an iPad 13-inch Pro model, because what you do here is it has a lever on one side and it has a screw clamp on the other side. If you release the lever, it extends this by rail. You get this to approximately the size of your tablet, okay, which I'm doing right here. Then you tighten this little lever here. And then to really clamp it in place, I'm going to just turn this and it holds really tight. There's a little rubber padding inside to protect your equipment. Then you can take this, and it's got 1/4-inch socket down here. It's got 2 1/4-inch sockets in the back. And the reason they have them higher and lower is so you can balance it. So there's a little bit, it gets a little bottom heavy so it stays nice and straight. And I'll just take my Platypod disc and mount it onto here. And then what I'll do is I'll take my Platypod. Now you can use Delta or Extreme for this. I don't know if I would use the basic disc. I don't know if it has enough space, but I have done this with a Delta. Let's do it like that. And then I just put this on here. And I put the tab with my tablet on top of that. And if you loosen up the top of the handle, now the top spins around freely, makes it very easy to screw into place. Now this is 3/8 inch. Remember we said the 2 bolts, 1/4-inch and 3/8 inch. This is a 3/8 inch socket in the disc. This is a 3/8 inch bolt over here. Spin it around and just get that in here. And now I can raise my tablet to whatever height I want. Ooh, let's just get that. Always catching that first thread. Here we go. Okay, and lock it in nicely. And now I can adjust this right to eye height. And if you want to get a little fancier, you could put a traveler ball head on top and be able to angle your tablet. I don't necessarily like the movies that they put on the airplane. I'm a Star Wars fan, and I like to watch the Avengers sometimes on the airplane, Mandalorian. So I just download it from Disney Channel before I leave the house, and I'm able to watch for the entire trip comfortably. I can recline back in my seat. I don't have to bend my neck down. I don't have to hold it in my hands. This makes your trip so much more pleasant and used just like that. Larry, any comments before we go into our slideshow? Because I think we're going to have to move it along a little.
Yeah, we got to speed along. I like the demo that you set up and that you showed that image at the very end, that you don't have to put it on a handle riser. You could put just a Plata ball or any ball head onto a low Platypod like that. And now you can tilt and angle your iPad whatever direction you want. And the jaws of the iPad holder, the tab, go really wide. So a lot of people will even do it lengthwise on their tablet, depending on their use case.
Sure, and there are two slots at the bottom. Let me just show that just briefly. Oh, here we go. That allow you, if you're going to hang it like that, you can still pass a cord through the bottom over here. You see that? If you mount it lengthwise and cover the plug socket over here. So is that clear, Larry? I'm not sure if you're, let's see.
Not really.
Okay, so you put it on this way.
There you go.
And now your cord socket is still exposed, okay? All right, let's move into the slideshow because I know we're starting to run a little short of time, so we'll go ahead with that. All right, this image is to make a few little points. Our Platypod Pro Riley Arthur, who you can catch on the Platypod channel once a month, she puts out a really nice video with some tricks and tips on how to get some beautiful, artistic-looking images using our equipment or other equipment as well. And she was at the Neon Museum in Las Vegas. And there was a sign there that says DSLRs are prohibited except on select days for a higher entry fee. And, well, tripod wasn't going to work for her there. She wanted to get a really low angle, so she just set her iPhone for a long exposure on a Platypod and got this beautiful image that you see on the right. Next image is of Bob Coates using a Platypod out in the field for birding. So if you're going on a birding vacation, this is a very nice tool to use. And what he did was he set his equipment, his Platypod Extreme, he just silly puttied it right onto a Frisbee, kind of like this, and then just put some silly putty at the bottom of the Platypod and put it right on there, and was able to carry something as big as a gimbal on there and slide it along the grass or the sand to be able to get his birding shots. And why would you want to do that? Well, by going really long angle, you catch a maximum reflection. Here you can see almost 50-50 reflection of the duck, where if you went for a higher angle, you'd have a much, much smaller reflection. You get a much longer reflection like this, and I think just beautiful image that way. Platypod Pro Ian Plant out at Devil's Tower, and I'll show you the setup that he used for this. Now, if you don't have water naturally on the ground, have a gallon of water in your trunk, spill it out, and you can get a reflection like that. Now, what I love about this picture is how the puddle of water just frames and surrounds Devil's Tower here. Just beautiful effect. And of course, he's taking this during the golden hour where you have this bright golden light on the Devil's Tower. Really one of my favorite images from Ian. All righty. Next, why would you want to strap it onto a pole? We asked before. Well, if you want to do some time lapse, that's a great way to do it. And here you have in London, Kirsten Lutz. And Kirsten, you can also catch twice a month on the Platypod channel. We'll talk about the YouTube channel later. And he's showing how you can get some time lapse in London. You could also set it on a ledge, but then you got to stand right next to it and be careful, because there are people who will try to swipe your equipment and be able to get time lapses like this. Just happen to have a beautiful rainbow. No, that is not Photoshopped. You see a little movement in the London eye to the right there. Nice image, another time lapse. These are just a lot of fun for you to put on your Facebook page or on Instagram when you come back from your travel. Rick Salmon is showing here his setup for getting long exposure with the iPhone using an app called Even Longer, and allowing him to get this beautiful long exposure shot which puts streaks in the clouds, softens up the water, and now you have a fine art image taken with an iPhone. And both our Platypod spring-loaded grip and the Platypod mag grip are very useful tools for this type of imagery with the iPhone. You can also set up your Platypod on a shelf. Larry, want to talk about this for a minute?
Yeah, one of the things that Skip Cohen did when he was setting this up, look on the right, and you see that really wide handrail. And you also see that it is not something that you could wrap a strap around, because there are glass panels there on the bottom side. So yes, you can put something on top of it, but there's a little bit of an angle there, and you need to be careful how you put something on top. Well, when you look at the behind the scenes image on the left, you can see 2 of the spiked feet are deployed on a Platypod Extreme. And those feet then kind of hang over the edge of that rail, and it makes for a good enough grip that you can trust your Extreme on there. You can also have the handle on there. On top of that, you've got the Platypod grip holding a smartphone, and you get a selfie shot that isn't something with somebody's real long arm in the shot and everybody trying to squeeze into the image. You can step back and take the picture that way. And those make for some very impressive images. So that was a very quick setup, but it's a safe setup for your iPhone photography.
Right, and Larry, you can trigger this either by just setting the timer for 3 seconds or 10 seconds and running back to your position, or you can trigger it from your Apple Watch if you happen to have that as well. You can even view in the Apple Watch. We won't get into that now. We have presented that in the past at iPhone conferences and the like, but you can look up how to shoot images by remote control right off an Apple Watch. Next image from Platypod Pro Dave Williams is Dave lives out in Norway and has maximum opportunities to view auroras. He's also an expert on the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. He's written an ebook on the subject. And here you can see how he's shooting right on top of a rock with a Platypod Elite. That's our Platypod that has a built-in leveling indicator. You can look that up on our website and get more information on that. Exclusively right now for sale at B&H, but very fine ball head. And you can get these beautiful long exposures of, this was called, I think, Solar Max last year, which was triggering amazing northern lights, not just green and blue, but there were reds and oranges, all kinds of colors in here, which was just fantastic. Next image is from Samantha Kennedy, showing another use of the Platypod for panoramic landscape shots. Now, this is actually a stitch of, I think, 5 images together, but going down low on the rocks allowed her to catch these rocks and boulders in the foreground, the river, the mountains in the middle ground. Very, very sharp. You could zoom in on this like crazy, and the detail is unbelievable because she has the 5 images in there with so many pixels in here and the beautiful background clouds. So panning is a great use, but you don't have to just pan horizontally. You can pan vertically. And here's an image from Bob Coates out in Patio del Norte. I believe this is in New Mexico or Arizona, and showing you a vertical panorama where Bob was, let me just show you how to do this. Using a Platypod, and you can't do this with too many other tripod heads, you would mount this onto a handle or onto a tripod. That would be fine too. Now you might need, depending on how heavy your camera is, you might need an extra weight here, or just to put your hand or foot on there for a little bit extra stability, or strap it onto something. But here you go. And how does this work? You can put the Platypod facing sideways, put your camera onto here, and now be able to pan. I'm just going to do this very briefly. Pan a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots, going from straight ahead, up and above, and behind you. Also great for interiors when you want to catch the ceiling of frescoes or whatever else that you have from front to back, and show this to your friends. Amazing images. Vertorama, V-E-R-T-O-R-A-M-A, Vertorama. Interesting technique. Matt Seuss.
You need to go to the slideshow, Dr. T. Switch to the slideshow.
Yep.
Switch.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Matt Seuss, I'm going to give this over to you, Larry. There's a story behind this one.
Yeah, Matt and I were talking about this, and just gorgeous shot. He found a great place to be. What Matt relayed to me after I saw the shots and the behind the scenes here, and what you're looking at all here is behind the scenes. And then in a second, you'll see an amazing finished image, a couple of them actually. But what Matt pointed out was there were a lot of people there. And this was one of those places where you cannot use a tripod. And it's not, in this case, it wasn't because of tripod police, it's because there's no way to set up a tripod on these boulder, kind of areas, the big rock walls and stuff like that. There isn't enough space to set up a tripod. And so Matt had this set up, and there was a guy right beside him that was so jealous because the guy beside him brought along what he thought would work, a sandbag. And the guy with the sandbag was so jealous of what Matt was doing. And so Matt told him all about the Platypod and the Platyball and how he was set up and working with it. And he captured these gorgeous finished images. You know, the framing is just right, and he's got a stable surface there on the rock, and with just a very little bit of a riser. He's got the handle there, or actually no handle, the Platyball and the Platypod Extreme. Did a great job with that, caught all kinds of wonderful finished images, and from the stable surface mount of a tripod that is a tripod alternative, the Platypod.
Absolutely. And just one quick tip, if you want to catch a starburst like this, the quick tips are stop down to F16 or F22 and get the sun right at the edge of something, a doorway, a pole, a tree, or in this case, the horizon, and you produce those starbursts. I told you before I was going to show you how you could use the spikes on an ice surface. Well, Dave Williams has his Platypod Extreme perched on a 45-degree angle on this ice wall, or you can use it even on an ice rock like this for stability. So that's why those spikes are so sharp. If you don't want them sharp, you can always take some sandpaper, a metal grade sandpaper or a file, and file them down, but I like to keep them sharp, and then you can cover them with the tips that are provided with the Platypod. Quickly, Bob Davis is showing how you can use a Platypod setup strapped onto a railing that you have here to catch movement in these trains while everything else stays sharp. That's why you need the stability. If you're getting moving objects, something in the image has to stay sharp, like the background over here. So just simply strapping it on, clamping it on to a railing can produce that. Rick Salmon, we'll give a plug for Rick's book, Phototherapy. I recommend it to everyone who would like to get a little motivation in their photography. Long exposure at one of his favorite sites, the Croton Dam, and you can see the beautiful flowing waters movement in the clouds from those long exposures. And Scott Kelby has probably told you already, and if not, I'll just repeat it now. When you're on vacation, when you're on a trip, shoot the food. And this is exactly what Dave Williams is doing here with this little bite of salmon. Natural lighting, some candle lighting involved there, and you get this gorgeous image. All right, Larry, that ends this section. Larry?
The Platypod ecosystem, there's a lot to learn about the Platypod ecosystem and a lot of places to learn about it and find out about the gear. And obviously you can go to platypod.com, but there are other places. There is an official users group on Facebook. So it's called Platypod Users Official. And when you go over there, it is a private group, so you have to apply to be a member. And once you ask to be a member, you can be. And you'll see other members posting gear or posting photos they took using Platypod gear. You'll see people having discussions about Platypod gear, asking questions and things like that. And you'll see some gorgeous images. And there's this group of photographers. Now, Dr. T has been showing you a lot of these great images tonight. These are all from people that we call Platypod pros. They're pro photographers and enthusiast photographers who are really good at their craft, and we have asked them if they would like to associate and affiliate with us over at Platypod, and they become a Platypod pro. Well, when that happens, sometimes people are over on the Platypod Facebook page, and they post a really cool image, and they go, hey, what do you think of this? And all of a sudden, over at the Platypod offices, we're like, hey, that's kind of cool. Did you see this image? And then we start looking into some more of their images, and Platypod pros, some, not all, have been discovered at the user group on Facebook, and because they've posted so many great images, and then those people become a Platypod pro by invitation.
Absolutely. We invite everybody to join. We've got 1,600 members already. We'd love to have more. One quick note on the monthly newsletter. The next one I think is coming out on July 22nd. The way to get to the newsletter is sign up for our mailing list. If you go onto our website, you'll initially see an offer to sign on to the mailing list. You can do that, or you can go to the bottom of any page on the website and get yourself on the mailing list, and then this is automatically sent out once a month, and you'll learn a lot from these newsletters. Back to you, Larry.
Yep, and there's another place to learn. So you got the newsletter that comes to you. There is also a YouTube channel. Now, if you go to YouTube and you just search for Platypod, you're going to find a lot of videos because a lot of people use platypods and a lot of people do videos about them. But if you want to find the official Platypod YouTube channel, search, when you go over to YouTube, do a search for these two words in this order: Platypod channel. Search for the Platypod channel, and then you'll find things like demo videos, you'll find behind the scenes videos, you'll find discussions where I talk with great photographers and they share their behind the scenes of how they captured a particular image. You'll see stuff from Dave Williams and Kirsten and Riley about great ways that they're using gear and great results that they've achieved by using their gear. And then I have a bunch of videos there that are what I would call a video manual. So if there's a new piece of Platypod gear that comes on the market, then I do a video about here's all the little nuanced tips and tricks, because who reads manuals anymore? So I do a video version of manuals for a lot of that Platypod gear over at the YouTube channel. So make sure that you go there. As we wrap up, it is time to jump over to the questions that you guys have dropped in as we've been presenting. So Dr. T, do you have anything else before we look at some questions?
No, I think that was great, Larry. And that Platypod channel puts out a new video every week, every Sunday. And please, if you'll subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified about that. And if you'll subscribe to our website, you will also get a notification of when there's a new video on the channel. And they're usually only a few minutes long, but you'll get some beautiful tips and tricks on those videos. So yes, Larry, let's go for some questions.
Okay, first is actually not a question. It's from a gentleman named Larry Hug. And what Larry said to Larry T and Larry Becker is, I figured you can't have enough Larrys in a meeting. I love that comment. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks for joining the club.
Photo Bob asked this question before you showed the mag and the mag grip. And Photo Bob said, well, how do you connect it to an iPhone? I think that's been pretty well answered. Feel free to hold up this piece of gear and demonstrate that again. That's how you can hook it up to a phone.
Here's the entire mounting.
Yep.
Boom.
Now,
that's it.
There was someone that posted the comment, what was that pin called and from whom?
Oh, okay. It was the Spider holster. I actually have one out here. Spider holster. This is the backpack one. This will go on to any belt. It looks like it's up to almost 2 inches wide.
Yep.
Or if you don't want to use your own belt, they do have Spider holsters together with a built-in belt that you can assemble with. And the pin that you can purchase over at Spider Holster's site is called the Black Widow pin. And this is what it looks like attached onto my camera bracket. I just screwed it in to one of the, I have some utility 1/4 20 sockets in there, and it is in here absolutely solid.
And you don't have to have a mounting bracket like that. You can actually put the pin directly into the 1/4 20 mount on the bottom of just about any camera.
That's correct. As long as you have a 1/4 20 socket on the bottom or directly into the 1/4 20 of your camera. Or Spider Holster does make their own quick release plates, and I think one of them is ARCA compatible, so you could use their quick release plate. And many ways to mount that.
Yeah,
thanks for the question.
I love that setup. And I have, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I have a grip, camera grip that goes from the top around my hand and then goes underneath, and it actually goes under and the Spider holster works with that. So it works pretty well. All right, and here's a question from Janie P. in Venice, Florida. Larry, did you just take the foot off the lens collar ring?
Yes, I did. I was able to unscrew it, and I don't know if you can on everyone, but this old Nikon 70-200 allowed you to detach the foot from the lens collar ring, and there happens to be a 1/4-20 socket right on the collar ring that allowed me to do this. Again, I don't know if that works for every telephoto lens, but on this one it did, and I like this so much better than the foot because it gives me an 1.5 inch lower center of gravity. I find it balances beautifully.
And one last question, and I'm not really sure I understand the question, but I'll read it. Nargo said at 6:36, what does occudrone mean in sky swapping?
I don't think that was a question for us.
Yeah, it was sent to us, but I think I agree with you. I don't think that was.
Yeah, I think that was for somebody else.
Dr. T, I think that wraps it up for us. Have you got anything else?
Oh, I could go on and on, but the guys in the control room are starting to get hungry, so I think we'll let them go. Again, I want to thank Larry, to thank my wife Minna for putting up with all my crazy inventions. We have new things coming up in the future in Platypod, and if you're signed up for our mailing list, you'll hear about them first. We're probably going to even have another Kickstarter next year on a brand new item that we've never done before. So lots of exciting stuff going on here at Platypod. And because I'm a photographer, just like you, I've been doing this for 50 years in photography, maybe only 10 years in Platypod, and I really want to bring inventions that are important to me that I would use myself out to the public. So thank you for supporting us, and we'll try to keep coming up with some clever ideas here.
Dr. T, thank you so much for being a part of this evening's presentation and for teaching us a lot of cool things and clever ways that we can use our gear and pack small, travel light, and shoot from a different perspective. It really does help make our travel photography that much better. That's it for me. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in for Platypod's session. Have a good night, everybody.